All right, for lesson 19 today, it's going to be short and sweet because we do have a half day. We're going to continue with the same standards we've been focused on. By the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to look at a graph and then tell me what the equation of that graph is by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So you'll know you're successful when you can identify the slope and y-intercept of the line of a graph and then use those values to write the equation. All right? Just like always, we're going to do some review, examples, exercises, our closure, and then exit ticket, and always follow our class expectations, please. Okay, so for this first slide where I'm just building some background, I'm going to go over a few things that we've learned so far. So as you can see, this equation is not written in slope-intercept form. It is written in standard form. So the first thing I have to do to be able to graph this is write it where the y is by itself on the left. So I'm trying to get this y by itself. Right now we have it being times by 8, or multiplied by 8, and added to a -3. So I'm going to do the opposite of those things and get y by itself. So the opposite of plus -3 is plus +3, and there's x's there, so I'm just going to add 3 x's to both sides. Over here I'm left with 8y equals, I'm going to make sure my x's are first because just like in my slope-intercept format, I want those x's before the number that comes second. I'm still trying to get y by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by 8, so I will have to divide both of these terms, or all of these terms, by 8. On the left it cancels and I'm left with y equals, which is exactly what I want. And then 3 divided by 8, I'm just going to write it as 3 over 8. Okay, making sure to keep my x. And 24 divided by 8 is 3. So now I have my equation written in slope-intercept form. You can see I have y equals mx, my m is 3/8, plus b, my b is 3. And based on what we did yesterday, we know that this is our slope and this is our y-intercept. So I'm going to graph this. So the first thing I'm going to do is graph my y-intercept, where this line crosses my y-axis is up 3, so up 1, 2, 3. So this is the first point. I've just plotted this y-intercept here. From there, I'm going to use my slope to find my next point, and it's telling me go +3 over 8. So up 3 over 8. So up 1, 2, 3 over 8. And we always go right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once I have 2 points, I can draw a line through them. And that is my equation. So this is just a review of what we've done so far. We know how to turn a standard form equation into slope-intercept form. And once it's in slope-intercept form, we know how to find the m and the b and use those to create a graph. All right, so for example 1, you're going to do this with me. The first thing I want to do is remind myself that I'm trying to turn this into the format y equals mx plus b. And then I'm going to find my m and my b to graph it. Right now the y is not by itself. You can see that it has a couple things going on. It's being multiplied by 3 and it's being added to 4 x's. So I'm going to do the opposite of those things to get it completely by itself. So instead of plus 4x, I'm going to do minus 4x. Sorry about that. And I'm doing it to both sides. On the left side, it cancels out, and I'm just left with 3y's equals, I'm going to put my -4x before the 21 because my x's go first in my slope-intercept form. Okay. Next step I'm going to try to get my y by itself, so I will divide by this 3. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to both sides. Over here, I'm now left with y equals, right here, I have -4 over 3x. And I'm just leaving it as a fraction because my slope, it's easier to do when I have a fraction. And then on my second term, I have 21 over 3. Well, that's the same as 21 divided by 3, which is 7. So from here, I am in slope-intercept form. You can see y equals mx plus b. I have it set up just like that. And I'm going to identify my m. So my slope is down 4 over 3. And my y-intercept is +7. So I'm going to graph this. I start with my y-intercept. So I'm at +7. So it's crossing this y-axis at 7. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is my first point. From there, I'm going to use my slope to find my next point. So it says -4, so I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it says over 3. So I'm going to go to the right because I always go left to right. Over 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is my second point. You could make another point if you want, but I'm not going to because you only need 2 points to make a line. Please make sure you have all of this down. All right, the second example I have for you today is basically working a little bit backwards. Instead of taking an equation and making a line, we're now starting with a line and we're making an equation. So the things I need for this equation are my m and my b. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to plot as many points as I can see. So I see one right here on my y-axis. I see one a little bit further up, a little bit further up. And remember, these points have to be exactly on the crosshairs, which they are. Okay? Now that I have my points, I'm going to figure out how many am I going over, how many am I going up to get from point to point. So I'm looking for, oops, wrong spot. I'm looking for my rise over my run. So I'm going to start with my point at the very left, which is right here. And I'm going to go to my next point. I'm going up 1, up 2. So my rise is 2. And my run, I'm going to go over 1 to get to my next point. And you'll see that 2 over 1 is the same as 2. So my slope for this line is 2. The next thing I need to find is my y-intercept. Where does this cross my y-axis? Well, I can see that it crosses right here at this point. I'm not up any and I'm not down any, so this is crossing at 0. So my y-intercept for this is 0. Now that I have these two things, I can put it into my form, y equals mx plus b. Well, my m is a 2, so this becomes y equals 2x, and my b is a 0. So this is my equation for this line. Okay, please make sure you have all of this down. All right, again, for this example, we're going to be looking at this line, finding our slope, finding our y-intercept, and creating an equation with that. So the first thing I'm going to look for is my slope. So to go from one point on the left to the next point on the right, I'm going down 1, 2. So I went down 2, negative 2, over 1, 2, 3. So this is my slope. And then I'm looking for my y-intercept. Where does this line cross my y-axis? Right here is where it is. This is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my b is a 5. So this equation will be y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5, and that follows my format. So here's our new learning for today. Basically, to write an equation in slope-intercept form, you just need to find the slope and the y-intercept. Whatever your slope is will go in the m position. Whatever your y-intercept is will go into the b position. You can find your slope by just counting the rise over run from point to point. And you can find your y-intercept by just looking at where the line crosses the y-axis. For exercise 1, you are going to turn this equation into the format y equals mx plus b, and then you are going to graph it, okay? I'll give you 3 minutes to do this. All right, the first thing I want to do here is get rid of my minus sign because I cannot move anything around until that's gone. So this becomes x plus negative 6y equals 12. From there, I want to get y by itself. Right now, it's being multiplied by negative 6, and it's being added to 1x. So I'm going to take away 1x from both sides. Over here, it cancels. I'm left with negative 6y's equals, I want my x's first, so I have negative x. You can say negative 1x. Remember, there's an invisible coefficient of 1. And then I have a 12, so and 12, or plus 12. From there, I'm still trying to get my y by itself. Right now, it's being multiplied by negative 6, so I will divide by negative 6. It cancels over here. I'm left with y equals, well, negative 1 divided by negative 6 is positive 1/6x. And then 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. All right, so from this, I can see that my slope is up 1/6, and my y-intercept is at negative 2. So I'm going to go plot negative 2 first. So I'm at down 1, down 2 on my y-axis. And then my slope says, okay, to get to the next point, you're going to go up 1, right 6. I'm going to go up 1, right 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my point. If I wanted to have the point that came before over here, I would just, instead of going up 1, I'd go down 1, and instead of going right 6, I go left 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But remember, you only need 2 points to make a line. Check your work with my work, please. All right, for exercise 2, please do what I've done before. Please find your m, find your b, and create an equation based on those two things. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to get this done, and then we'll go over it together. All right, the first thing I'm going to look for is my slope. So to go from my left point to my right point, I'm going to go up, so it's going to be positive slope. It's going to be up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went up 5, that was my rise. In my run, I went right 1. So this is the same thing as saying m is 5. Okay, my y-intercept, where this line hits my y-axis, is right here. This is down 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's at -4. So my equation in slope-intercept form will be y equals mx, so 5x plus -4. Check your work with mine. You're going to be doing the same thing for exercise 3. Find your m, find your b, write an equation in slope-intercept form. Take a second to do this. All right, to move from my left point to my right point, I'm going down. So it's going to be down, it's going to be -1 over, and then I went right 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1 over 4, down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4. So that's my slope. And my y-intercept, this hits my y-axis right at +1. So the equation for this line would be y equals -1 over 4x plus 1. Check your work with my work. For our lesson closure today, I just want to make sure that you remember m is your slope. And you find this by doing rise over run. This tells you how many to go up or down. If it's down, it's negative, and this tells you how many to go sideways, and we always move right. Okay? Remember to always choose a point on your left, and then choose a point on your right to move towards. We also were able to identify our b, which is our y-intercept. I'm just going to put y-int for short, which is wherever your line crosses this y-axis. So wherever that hits, that would be your y-intercept. When you have those two things, you can always write your equation in slope-intercept form, and we call it slope-intercept form because it tells us our slope and it tells us our intercept. So when you have the m, you can fill it in, and when you have the b, you can fill it in and create your equation, and that's what we have done today. All right, for your exit ticket today, you're going to find the slope of this line, the y-intercept of this line, and then you're going to tell me what is the equation in slope-intercept form. So you'll fill out those two boxes based on what you get. All right, and we'll be done for today.